Hello friends, I'm Brian, and this is Gizmo Board Games. Today I am looking at my 10x4 solo challenge from the months of January to April of 2024. What is a 10x4 solo challenge, you might ask? Well, it's just like any other challenge you hear board gamers do. This one is 10 games that I've played at least 4 times in the past 4 months in solo-only mode. These could be whether the game includes a solo in the gameplay, or I've got one from, fans shared versions of solo modes because there wasn't one included in the game. Whatever the case is, I'll mention that as the games come up. The 10x4 solo used to be a 10x5 solo challenge that I did last year. And I'm just looking at these 10 games and ranking them from the ones I like the least to the one I like the most of the 10 I played in that period of time. The idea originally is credited to my friend Allie, who's at the Family Meeple, so check out her page. She's doing a 10x5 solo challenge, and she used to do it the same way too, where she would take 4 months and play 10 games 5 times each. She's expanded hers to 6 months to play those 10 games 5 times each. I've decided to just knock off a play required of each game due to tightness of time. We've both kind of eased up our personal requirements in getting these done. But I've decided that 4 times is enough to feel like I've gotten the games to the table. And that's what it was all about, is making sure I get plays of these games that I own in. And the best way to ensure I can play them is to play them solo rather than wait for people. Plus, I like experiencing solo games. I play a lot of solo games anyway. And this is my chance to make sure I'm trying out all my games. Enough rambling about what this is that I'm doing. Let's go ahead and count them down, starting with number 10, i.e. my least favorite of these 10. And I mentioned this before that I didn't really care for this game. It's a solo-only, quote-unquote, trick-taking game for Northwood. And for me, it just does not feel like a trick-taking game. In my trick-taking games, I want to logic out the results. I want to mathematically be able to know what is left as the hands come to an end. And in this game, because it's solo only, you're only using a portion of the deck, which means there's a lot of random variability. And the scoring is just so tight that if you lose 1 or 2 tricks, you're not going to win, because I think you can only miss like 3 total points before you're considered not winning. And it just that makes way too much randomness for me. There's been a lot of times where just one card is flipped and been the difference between winning and losing, and that's a big deal. One card flip affects the whole basically game. And I know there are ways to mitigate, but even then, you can only mitigate so much before it's just you hope for the best with the flip of the card. And that really bugs me about this game. It's fine. I'll play it from time to time. It's small. It's not taking a lot of space. If this was a big game stating that it was a solo trick-taker game and it played like this, and it was taking up a lot of space on my shelves, it would be gone. But because I can take this around and still kind of poke at it from time to time, it's not a bad game. It just doesn't feel like a trick taker, and that's what it's being sold as. So it's all right. It's random, too random for me, and that's why it's kind of my number 10. I'm just not the biggest fan of what this could have been, because I was really looking forward to, because I love trick-taking games. I was really looking forward to having one that didn't need a table of 4 to play with, like spades and euchre. And that's what I wanted out of this, and it didn't deliver that. It's too random for my liking, and that's why it's here at number 10. But I'll play it from time to time. Just, it's not a high priority for me. Number 9 is one that I really enjoy in a group play, and the solo mode is just another one of those where it's kind of random. It's distilled. The solo mode of this one is you're setting up kind of a pyramid of goals you have to obtain from bottom to top, and each goal you claim is going to add points that you have to beat. And because it's kind of a random setup, a random pyramid, and half of the cards are flipped over, there might be some goals along the route you've chosen that you can't even, by the time you see them, you can't even complete in time because of how you've worked out the game to that point. Because the game's only 7 rounds, and you got to complete 5 of 5 goals. So basically, you only get 2 rounds where you're not completing at least 1 goal, and that's a tight space. And again, it's just the random goals that come out. I do really enjoy this one as a deck builder game. I will play this with groups of people and introduce them, especially people who like card builders, deck builders, and you're making brew or. Man, why do I always say brews? Because I'm a home brewer. That's why. You're distilling liquor in this game, and you're having some washback come out of the top and bottom of your deck as you're creating it, and that adds a little bit of randomness. But I kind of like it. You've got to kind of plan to make sure you can build what you want to build, but it might not turn out the way you planned, and I could see that setting some people off too. That's a little nitpick of the game. I'm not trying to do that here. I'm trying to talk about the solo mode. It's fine. It's just, again, a little too random, trying to make sure you can meet the goals. In the games where the goals line up real easy, I've been able to suss out some wins. And in games where goals kind of contradict each other along the path, because you do got to touch card to card in the pyramid to do it. So you can't just jump around goal to goal in each row. You have to make sure they touch each other. There's one way to mitigate that, but if you got multiple goals that conflict with each other, you're just not going to win. I actually, one of the games I had after round 2, I knew I wasn't going to win and just put it away. So Distilled, it's fun, not as great as a solo game. A little too random and almost to beat your own score, except that the scores are based on the goals you make. So I do like that little bit of twist on try to score as the best you can, but in the end, you're still just trying to score as best you can while meeting some constraints. Number 8 is a game that is fairly new, and I really like the game. It's very thinky, very Euro, and very much almost impossible to win solo with the way the solo's set up. Either that or I'm playing it wrong, but I've reread the solo rules numerous times and never come close to winning, because in the regular game it says it's got a literally there's some objective cards to achieve, and one of them is score 170 points or more as like a good job objective. And I think every time in this game the solo score has come out in the 200s. So if a good score is 170 and the solo score is in the 200s, that's a really rough game. Also, it's a lot to set up, a lot to kind of suss out. It's Nucleum. I really like the gameplay. Solid gameplay. It's got a good, easy to use automa, which gives you an opponent that's going to do things that opponents do. But again, the way the points are awarded to the automa, both during the game and at the end of the game, has just added up to almost insurmountable points for me. I think my closest game was I was within 30 points of them. So for as long as it took to set up, as much it is to operate, I'm talking about an hour and a half, 2-hour game each time even, and that's not even counting setup and cleanup. It's a lot. I really like the game. You're going around and you're using action tiles, and you can place them on the board to connect network points in various cities, because you're going to need them to activate or energize the houses, the buildings you're building in the cities. It's a lot going on. I really like the action tile selection and whether you're going to use that tile and keep it for future uses or put it on the board to build your network out better to give you more options later, but then you lose that action tile. There's goals to meet in game and short-term goals that will give you more things as you achieve them, and more points and everything. It's a very good, thinky, heavy Euro style game that I really enjoy. I haven't played it with other people yet, but I think I would rather do that than the solo mode. Even though the solo mode is fun, it's fine, it's good. It's just a lot of work to play for just me, and then I'm not sure how scaled the scoring is, or maybe I'm just doing things wrong, but the automa gets to cheat a lot, and then that helps build their score up. So I enjoy this game. I wish it was pared down a little bit and maybe not so much to set up, but a couple of my plays I just left it out and rolled it back again the next day or whatever the case is. So that helps to keep it on the table for multiple plays. But yep, Nucleum, enjoyable. Solo is fun. It just might be a little too unbalanced. All right, number 7 here might get me some slack. It's middling on this list, and in my opinion, it's middling. Period. But it got a lot of love from a lot of people last year. Hailed as one of the best games of the year, or best games ever, even, and is other games killers. And those other games I like more still. But just go ahead and get it over here. It is Earth. Earth is fine. That's my thoughts of Earth. It's a deck builder, manipulator. What do I want to go for? You're generating resources and you're building out your tableau from your hand, and you're taking more cards into your hand, and everything is points in this game. You can build, things on the cards, and you can buy more cards, and you can recycle cards, and then they're each worth points. And the solo game is okay. You're going to just flip a card, and you're going to take actions, and based on your actions plus what's on the card, the solo player is going to get things too, and those things are going to be points at the end of the game, and there are going to be lots of points at the end of the game most of the time, and they get to cheat towards some of the gold cards, because you're going to have like a tableau of gold cards out there that you're going to be working towards for maybe a while. You might need to get 10 cards with certain things on it, and the third automa card, i.e. the third round, they're already going to be able to claim the max points on that gold card, and you never even had a shot, because you need at least 10 rounds probably. So I don't like that either. Again, that's a little bit of maybe imbalance. I've only played this on easy mode, and my best win was 1 point. So I can't imagine playing on normal or hard mode if that's the best I could manage with that. But it's fine. It's fine. It's in the regular game, it's, whoever's the main player, they pick an action, and then everybody gets like a lesser version of that action if they can take it. So you got to kind of read the room, and you're not getting that as much with the solo mode either, because you can't kind of predict what they might do with their next action other than what cards are in the discard pile. It's fine. I think I haven't played this in a group yet, but I can't see it being more than fine for me. It's basic tableau points mess. I like the theme enough. I like the gameplay enough. But that's about it. It didn't sing to me, scream out, I'm the best game ever made, and I'm going to replace Wingspan, and what other games did people say it was going to replace? It doesn't do that for me. And it doesn't do those things that I like in those games either. Wingspan, I like the engine builder. This has really no engine building in it. It does, like, when you take actions, you can activate those colors again later. But I don't know. I don't feel like I'm planning those out as much as I'm just trying to put down the card that'll get me the most points. And then if it happens to trigger something later, good on me. Maybe that's why I'm struggling with beating the automa. Maybe I should put more weight into what I'm playing, but it's got 400,000 cards in it, and you're not gonna, you can't completely plan around hoping you get the right card draws anyway. So that's Earth. It's fine. It's number 7. Speaking of another game where you hope you get the best cards you need to build towards what you want to do, this is a game I only enjoy solo. I've played it in a group, and it's way too thinky. But solo, it's a good level of thinky. It's another bunch of cards that you're trying to collect and use to the best of your ability. There's no tableau this time. With Red Rising, you're just going to lay down a card and do what the card says when you do the lay down action, and then you're going to take a card from a different row and do its ability of whatever row you took it from, and you're just racing to get up different tracks before the game ends. And then whatever you have in your hand at the end of the game, you're going to get points based on their in-game scoring capabilities. And those could be based on like having cards of certain colors or not certain colors in your hand, or matching them up with other characters. And that's where this one gets kind of messy in solo and in a multiplayer, because you're looking for that one exact card to come out and then be able to hang on to it when you need it. So minor gripe, but I really like the solo puzzle of Red Rising and trying to make my hand work and trying to best the abilities that I can. The solo is very easy to play. You're going to flip over a card and then do the place card, draw card action based on what the card says. You'll do that twice for every turn you have. So, the Automa is building up quite a collection of cards into their hand per se, but they're just going to score based on whether the cards are even and odd, and that's about it. So it's easy to score for them, and you're just trying to make sure you have the most points, and then both players are going to score based on where they're at on each of the 3 tracks per se. I've really enjoyed Red Rising as a solo puzzle hand management kind of game. I like the theme. I've read the first 3 books of the series that this is based on and have enjoyed those. They're kind of adult, violent, if you're not into that. So be forewarned if you're thinking about checking it out too. Might not be for you, but I enjoyed the series it's based on. This game I used to like a lot more solo. It's kind of getting worn out on me a little bit from playing it numerous times, but it's right here in the middle from these 10. Red Rising solo game. I really enjoy it. I do not like this one. It is way too analysis paralysis oriented in a group setting, because you have to read every single card every time one is put onto the board, and that really bogs the game down. But when it's just me, that's fine. Red Rising, my number 6. My number 5, as we get to the better end of this top 10, is a roll and write. It's again, could be multiplayer. I've only played it solo. I like the solo. It's got a good different solo than in the regular game. I like the game's based on. It's Orleans roll and write, or Joan of Arc, the Orleans roll and write. It feels like you're playing Orleans to an extent. You've got the different workers that you're going to use, and you're going to use them to do the things that they do in the game, really. Only you're going to just cross that part off on your list, and then the Automa is going to take one of them and do a thing, mostly just do a thing that's going to give them points. And you're just trying to combo abilities and get the best layout of the land that you can get before, the Automa does. And you got to think a little bit, because some of their actions, if you because you're going to draw 5 discs out of the bag each round, and so you know what's available, and you know kind of what they're going to do with it if they get it, because you can see the Automa, half of the paper too. And while you might want a certain villager now, you might want to take one of the ones just to stop the Automa from getting it later, and we're either blocking you from getting it or because it's going to score them more points. So it's good thinkiness. It plays pretty quick and easy, but it feels kind of like Orleans the game, and in roll and write form, and it gives me plenty of puzzle to think out in a quick amount of time. I've really enjoyed playing this one, kind of as roll and writes have kind of come and go in my life here. I had a brief period when I was playing a lot of them and enjoying them, and now not so much. I'm back kind of into my wanting to play less random games, but this one feels less random than a lot of roll and writes, and gives me a good thinking point. I've enjoyed playing the Joan of Arc roll and write. My number 4 solo game from the past 4 months is a game I've really enjoyed for a long time. I mentioned it earlier in this list because of a similar game. But for me, and I'm just using this because this is what I have, it's the lid for Wingspan, but this specifically is the Wingspan Asia, the new solo game that came with Wingspan Asia, which is also a new duet mode, which looks really great for a 2-player version of Wingspan as well. It just adds the board where, as you're building birds, you're going to take places on the board track, and you're racing towards those points. It's got a little bit of area control. And like I said, you're racing for the different round goals that come from this 2-player little board, sideboard. So you're still playing regular Wingspan and doing all the great things I love about Wingspan with the engine building and the cards that are going to give you different capabilities as you play them out and as you reactivate them in the game. But also it's giving you this little side quest as well, that you're going to have to think about as you're taking or as you're placing birds. And then the Atoma is pretty easy to roll out as well. You're gonna use the Atoma deck that Stonemaier is pretty known for at this point, and take an action based on it, whether they're going to collect eggs or grab birds from the display or birds from the stack of birds to add as points at the end of the game. They've got goals that are going to dictate which kind of birds they're going to look for, so you kind of know what they might take from the display. If you're eyeballing a bird that you know that they would end up taking, you might want to go ahead and grab that bird before you end up losing it. So you can kind of predict a little bit more than a normal Atoma deck. And then you're, again, racing for that sideboard. I really appreciate the effort that went into making a solid duet. I imagine, I haven't played it, and one that translates very well into a good solo mode that is easy and thinky and fun. I've really enjoyed playing the Wingspan Asia new solo mode of Wingspan. And so that's why it's my number 4. Number 3 is another solo-only game. That's good. I like solo-only games showing up on these type of lists, because if, solo-only games are only coming at number 9 and 10, why are they even bothering to make them as against to multiplayer modes that play solo? So a solo-only mode or solo-only game I really enjoy, McKee. In this game, you've got a couple goals to try to attain in a certain amount of rounds, and you've got some workers to send out onto the player board that are going to collect resources to help you attain goals. But also patrols are going to be going out, and if you get blocked off, then you lose those workers unless you shoot them, but that then just turns them into stronger patrols later. So it's a great little worker placement, resource generating, try to get to those goals that you can. It's got easy, medium, hard goals, and then I haven't even opened the big goals, which should be like extra hard. Good little puzzle to think out, and you've really got to be careful of not getting yourself blocked in and losing your workers until you're ready to lose them. So McKee, a great little solo game. I really enjoyed playing through this one, and I look forward to continuing to play it some more and getting into the even harder and harder goal cards shuffled in and randomly put out. So I really appreciate McKee. I wish I had more to say about it, but it's a solid solo game that I've enjoyed playing. All right, number 2 and number 1 shouldn't surprise anybody once you see what they are. If you've seen my favorite games lists, these are on my favorite games list, and I've played them solo this past quarter, and they're so good. They're so good. Coming in at number 2, and this is just a representation of the big giant box I've got up there. I didn't want to drag down another big box. But Castles of Burgundy, I've got the new special edition. I think it's still on GameFound right now, maybe, or just ended. I don't know if there's late pledging. But I really like the Castles of Burgundy. I don't know that I needed the big special edition, but I'm glad I got it with the acrylic tiles, which is what this is. Well, actually, it's not, because the acrylic tiles are in the box, and these are the cardboard tiles in the acrylic tiles box. However, Castles of Burgundy is a game where you're getting 2 dice to use as workers, and you're trying to, we're not even workers, as actions, I guess, and you're going to use them to select tiles from the matching number or place tiles into your Burgundy, your village, and different tiles are going to do different things, whether score your points directly or open up new actions, and you can combo things, or they could be worth in-game scoring, or it could just be cheat actions, letting you do things that you otherwise couldn't do. Just such a tight, thinky, fun dice action selection game that is beautiful, and the solo mode that came in this one, I believe, is a new solo mode compared to what was in the original Castles of Burgundy, where you've got a whole Atoma deck, and they're taking tiles and putting them down and getting points, and you're racing towards those goal cards and completing your zones faster and keeping yourself ahead on the player track if you want to be ahead on the player track, and you're trying to get the goods before the Atoma swipes all up the good goods that you're going to need to generate money, and they're going to be buying the black tiles or the new vineyard expansion, the vines. They're going to take them out from under you if you wanted them. I just really have enjoyed Castles of Burgundy, and I really, really like the solo mode that they've added with the special edition now. So, number 2, the Castles of Burgundy, one of my favorite games ever, and the solo mode is so good as well. Speaking of another game that I have loved forever, and I really love the solo mode. I don't know what happened to my solo box because I shoved it in with my big box of everything. And if you follow my channel for a long time, you already know, if you knew this was on this list, this would probably come in pretty high. And it's Concordia Solitaria. Again, that's a small solo version. Basically, it just adds an Automa deck to play Concordia solo. What I love about the solo mode or Solitaria version of Concordia is the fact that you're dictating what's going to happen to you, because every card in this deck is dual purposed. You're going to take your action, and then you're going to know exactly what the Automa is going to do based on that action. So if you want to go place some more villages out on the map, the solo person's going to steal those cards from the card row that you might want to purchase too. And vice versa. So if you're going out and purchasing cards, then the Automa's probably going to go out and clog up the board, and now you're going to have more resources or go for different cities and zones. And it's so good. It's so good. It's that push and pull that comes from Concordia. The tight resource and action selection multiplied, because your actions are going to dictate the solo actions. I love that in a solo game. I wish more solo modes would do that. Because, wow, it really adds some thinky pieces, because you want to go out and build villages, but you also know you want to get those cards from the card deck, and which one matters more, because you know for a fact that as soon as you do one thing, the Automa is going to do the other, and then you just got to hope they don't take what you're looking at. I really, really enjoy Concordia, and Solitaria is a magnificent solo version of a game, and I think one that more solo games or solo modes should look at doing. It's easy to implement, but it adds so much crunch and think to your actions, because your actions are going to dictate those cross actions. So there you have it. That's my top 10 10x4 solo games that I played for the last 4 months. I've got 10 new games in the lineup for next month, to include one right over my shoulder there. Near and Far will be in the next lineup of 10 games, solo plays for the next 4 months. I look forward to that list. I look forward to you coming back again, so subscribe below if you haven't. Give me a thumbs up if you like this list. Comment below on your thoughts on these 10 solo games if you've played them, and other games that I might not have checked out based on this list. What might I want to avoid if it's like For Northwood? What might I want to check out if it's like Concordia Solitaria? Let me know in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks for watching. Bye.